Welcome back, my old subscribers. In this video, I'm going to share one of my favorite swirly bokeh lenses, the Biotar 58. You're going to love this.
This is the Macro Marvin channel, where he'll share his passion for photography, videography, watches, cats, cars, and much more. Enjoy and thank you for watching.
So as you saw my sample images, there's tons to love about this lens, but then you have to remember it is based off of what we would consider today imperfections. Now, that doesn't mean the lens is not usable and it's not sharp. Like you saw in the images, they're very sharp and they really add a lot of character to your images. So in my opinion, this is a lens worth investing time in to learn how to use and take time, slow down, and manually focus. There's no autofocus on this. In my hands, I've got this awesome Biotar 58 version 2 F1.5, basically a remake of the original Biotar from the 1930s. This is by Meyer Optik Gorlitz. It's basically a remake. I love that it's compact, so it doesn't protrude too far. I know this might not look like the most attractive setup here with the GFX. I'm yet to test this out on my full frame cameras, but I really wanted to see, since I've been really into the GFX system lately, how does it adapt? How much of the sensor will it cover? And I've been doing that with a lot of vintage lenses. The more I learn about GFX, I've been finding out that a lot of vintage lenses were made to actually cover a sensor larger than the 35. They vary how much they cover, so I'm kind of learning how much to crop depending on the lens I'm using. Nonetheless, I love the image coming out of this lens. This review is not really about the camera itself, although I did shoot the pictures with it. More so the lens. So I do want to test it out on the Sonys I have. At some point, probably the Fuji X T5, it performed great. I mean, I loved using it on the GFX. It does mostly cover the sensor to a certain extent. I didn't have to do too much cropping, but I am getting more width than the 58. So I think after cropping, maybe I'm getting closer to a 50, because if I was able to use the full sensor, it'd be like a 46. But after cropping, I think it's like a 50, not a 58. Nonetheless, swirly bokeh, I love it. Ever since I used the Helios for the first time, I loved it. But to be honest, the Helios are kind of hit or miss for me. Maybe I don't understand them as well as other people. Depending on the version that you buy and whether it was modified or not, you'll get you'll get a variety of degrees of swirliness. So I couldn't find a consistent one. Maybe it's the 44-4, the 44-2. I remember trying both. I don't remember being able to get as consistent swirly bokeh as I am with this one. Now, the reason I enjoy this one even more than a Helios is that it is modernized. So you're keeping the swirl, but it's a modern, updated construction quality that is going to last a long time as well. It's a 1.5. It's compact, just like they were before. It just feels good. Everything is smooth. I wish it did have a clicky aperture, but that's fine. It doesn't really bother me. The ability to adapt this to any camera system nowadays is amazing. I took landscape shots, portrait shots, close-up shots. I'm trying to learn how the lens works best. And it's obvious it's meant to be more of like a medium distance lens. So I'd say anything between like 1.3 to like 3 meters, I was getting the nicest swirl bokeh. I would totally use this for fun portraits, professional shoots, whatnot, just to get a couple of very characterful portraits. And that's what this does. And it's so cool. I want to use it on more cameras, basically, just to see. But the reason I paired it to the Fuji was the bigger sensor and just the colors. The files coming out of this camera allowed me to do a lot with it. So it was really neat. Now, this is more of a first impression, so I have yet to continue using it. You'll see that there aren't too many photo shots as examples, but I wanted to just give you a hint of how it looks, because this is a lens that I think was circulating for a while, maybe a few months or even a year ago, with those that got the opportunity to test it out from the company. I bought this with my own money. I will want to talk about price. I would say it is on the more expensive end, but to put it into perspective, it is a remake of a Zeiss Biotar, 1930s. So to me, it is worth it because you're getting a historic lens, it's modernized, you're getting a 1.5, and if you take your time with it, you can master the type of images that you get. It makes you have to be purposeful. And what I mean by that is, how far are you from your subject? What is your background? You have to pay attention a bit more to this with this lens, because that's how that will impact how your image looks. Is it too much swirl? Is it not enough? Like, you have to find that fine balance. Some backgrounds give you more swirl than others. That's another thing to keep in mind. You'll see in my images, I tried taking shots at close to infinity, at all ranges within this lens, to see where it would fit best. Where was I enjoying it the most? Where it's difficult is, it's just the fact it's manual focus. It's hard to get shots of movement or people moving. So it's just a matter of training yourself. If you really want to use this lens, you need to have patience. You need to have a vision of what you want to get, or what type of shot you want to get, and then just practicing. Honestly, it's like people that shoot Leica or in general film. The manual focusing comes with practice. We do have tools on cameras, obviously, like the peaking and magnification. Like, you make use of all those tools, but you got to know the lens. You have to be patient, and that applies to any manual focus lens. Some more difficult than others depending on the focus throw. But for the most part, I'd say I was struggling more to get images at infinity where the focus would be slightly off or not, just with a slight movement. As you'll see on the scale, you definitely have a lot more leeway, more refinement to assess your focus between minimum focus and about 5 meters. Everything beyond 5 meters, a slight turn of this knob will make it out of focus. So that, again, goes back to, this is more of a portrait style lens and an everyday shot. You're shooting things closer to you. You're getting that swirly bokeh that this is known for, because at infinity, you're likely not going to get as much. And if you don't like the swirl as much, you can, even at f2 and onward, you do reduce it a lot. So but obviously the point is a swirl. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's just the first impressions. I will keep testing it. I want to use it on other cameras. I'm really liking the shots I'm getting. I'm not shooting as many as I usually do with autofocus, which makes sense because it takes longer with manually focusing. But I'm getting more winners, personal images that I prefer, that I like a lot. I've gotten portraits of myself taken now with this lens, and I really like the look. It's just an awesome, it's full of character. Like, it's a unique look that you're not getting everywhere nowadays with modern lenses that are just, I mean, they're amazing lenses, but they are performed to be more perfect now. This lens, I'd say, strikes the balance of good enough sharpness and then the swirl being there, drawing you in, but not being too busy and distracting. So I really like the smoothness. They did a great job with this lens. I can't wait to keep using it, and maybe in the future trying out the 75mm version of this to see what the difference is. But I think for my personal use, 58 is a very usable focal length for about everything. 75, you're kind of getting into more limited uses, more specialty uses. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.